I want you to imagine one of your favorite brand's logos. More likely than not, it has changed slightly over time, but it's maintained some element about it. Maybe not Jaguar, but as if it's on an evolutionary path. So rarely, if ever, does a brand and logo wholly reinvent itself to look and feel different. Now, there are many branding and marketing reasons for this, having to do with brand recognition and goodwill, but it's a great metaphor for when this type of effect happens in other areas of our lives. So, once an idea is first introduced, it often mutates and grows from that first introduction and rarely, if ever, gets readjudicated or reasoned back from first principles to reimagine it. In this way, the idea is like a tree that once planted only has one trunk. Rarely, if ever, is it replanted. So I call this the idea tree. This concept is a form of idea entrenchment or conceptual path dependency. Both terms describe how ideas, once established, tend to grow and branch without returning to their roots for reevaluation. Ideational inertia is another way to think of this concept, which, borrowing from physics, when objects are in motion, they tend to continue along their established path unless acted upon by a force, such as a critical reassessment. In either case, without ever replanting ideas, they often keep expanding from a single, possibly outdated trunk. This is why reimagining from first principles and other heuristic thinking methodologies, which I'll discuss later, are so valuable. So let's talk about idea entrenchment. Idea entrenchment describes the process by which ideas become firmly established and resistant to change. So once an idea becomes entrenched, it's often taken as a given and rarely, if ever, questioned, leading people to build upon it without ever reevaluating its initial assumptions. This can occur due to familiarity, tradition, confirmation bias, or even from heuristic shortcuts themselves, because it requires less effort to not rethink something. So changing foundational ideas requires significant effort. In psychology and sociology, this concept is linked to cognitive rigidity, where thinking patterns become fixed. In organizations and societies, entrenched ideas will lead to institutional inertia, where the established ways of thinking or acting persist even if they no longer serve the original purpose. And that can happen in your life too. You might establish something when you're a child, and if you never revisit it as an adult, it just stays in your psyche like programming. So what's the remedy? We can look to mental shortcuts or ideas from a heuristic way of thinking to occasionally reimagine from first principles. But another method is to occasionally just ask yourself, what could we stop doing, start doing, or change? So this is often referred to as a start, stop, continue analysis. This framework is widely used in personal reflection, team retrospectives, and strategic planning. It prompts a person to reevaluate their current actions, identify new opportunities, and retain valuable practices. It's a powerful tool for breaking entrenched ideas and routines. And when you pair it with reimagining from first principles, which is where you start with a base level requirements or ideas and build from there, start, stop, continue can help a person systematically identify areas for improvement or innovation, which creates a balanced approach to rethinking entrenched ideas that have gained that ideational inertia. It's that force acting upon something that's just going, right? It's that you're actively working against it. So life is, in our brains, is mostly automatic, right? It's that only like 95% is unconscious. It's that 5% that you're conscious. So what you're essentially doing is occasionally going into that 5% to change the 95%. So what I'm going to be talking about is just some structured ways to occasionally question and adjust your practices without the overwhelming task of trying to invent everything at once, or reinvent everything at once. So what we're going to be doing is talking in the future about some different heuristic thinking methodologies, such as revisiting from first principles and the occasional start, stop, continue analysis, so that we can help you and your coworkers at work and people in the organizations you're in look for these entrenched ideas, these trunks in these idea trees, and see if they still align with your current goals and whether replanting them could in fact in a different way. So we're getting ready to head into the new year here. You know, and today's Thanksgiving, so we got some opportunity to reflect here. Reflect, restart, possibly do something different. That's all we're talking about here. So thanks for watching.